Welcome to Philosophical Sleep Stories with me, Lana. I'm so glad you're here tonight, joining me under the gentle patter of rain on the roof. Picture yourself wrapped in a soft blanket, the day fading away, as we dive into the warm wisdom of I Ching's Hexagram 50, a tale of transformation and quiet purpose. I've lit a candle just for us, its glow dancing in the dark. So take a deep breath, let it go, and settle in with Lana as the rain carries us into this 30-minute journey of peace. Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing in a small cabin nestled deep in a forest of towering pines. Rain taps gently on the shingled roof, a steady rhythm that soothes the edges of a long day. The air smells of damp earth and wood smoke, and in the center of the room sits an old iron cauldron, its surface worn smooth by years of use. Inside, a fire crackles softly, casting a golden glow across the walls. You pull a blanket tighter around your shoulders and sit by the hearth, feeling its warmth seep into your bones. This is no ordinary pot. It's a vessel of stories, of meals shared, of lives transformed. Tonight, it whispers the wisdom of Hexagram 50, the cauldron, from the ancient I Ching. Across from you sits a woman named Elise, her silver hair catching the firelight, her hands resting on a wooden spoon as if it's an old friend. She's not young anymore. Her face carries the lines of a life well lived, of winters endured and summers cherished. This cauldron, she says, her voice low and steady, has fed my family for decades. It's more than iron, it's a promise. You lean closer, the rain outside blending with her words, and she begins her tale, a story of change, of nurturing what matters, and finding purpose in the quiet heat of the everyday. Elise stirs the cauldron and the scent of simmering broth rises. Herbs, roots, a hint of something earthy and rich. Years ago, she says, I wasn't much of a cook. I burned more than I boiled, and my husband, Tom, would laugh and say it was the thought that counted. You smile, picturing a younger Elise, flustered by a smoky kitchen, her apron dusted with flour. But life has a way of teaching you, she continues. When Tom fell ill one winter, I stood here, night after night, stirring soups to keep him strong. The cauldron became my teacher, patient, steady, showing me how small things, done with care, can transform. You nod, thinking of your own small acts, brewing coffee for a tired friend, tending a garden through a dry spell. The rain outside softens, and Elise's eyes meet yours. That's what the I Ching means by the cauldron, she says. It's not just a pot. It's a symbol of what we nurture, what we turn into something greater. Hexagram 50 taught me that transformation isn't loud or fast. It's the slow simmer of broth, quiet tending of a flame. The fire pops, sending a spark upward, and you feel a stillness settle over you, as if the cabin itself is listening. The rain grows steadier, a comforting hum against the cabin walls as Elise sets the spoon aside and leans back in her chair. There was a time, she says, when this cauldron sat empty. The kids had grown and moved away, Mark to the city, Ella across the sea. Tom was gone, and the house felt like a shell, too big for just me. You picture it. The cabin silent, the hearth cold, the rain tapping on a roof that no longer sheltered a bustling family. I'd wake up to nothing, she says. No voices, no laughter, just the echo of what used to be. I thought maybe my time for tending was over. You glance at the cauldron, its iron dark and still, and feel a pang of recognition. Those mornings when your own home feels too quiet, when the routines that once held meaning seem to slip away. Elise tilts her head as if she sees it in your eyes. But the I Ching doesn't let you give up, she says. Hexagram 50 came to me then. Not in a book, but in a feeling. It said the cauldron isn't done just because it's empty. It's waiting to be filled again. She rises slowly, her knees creaking, and lifts a basket of vegetables from the table. Potatoes with dirt still clinging to their skins, carrots bent like old fingers, a handful of rosemary sprigs. One day, she says, a neighbor knocked on my door. Old Sam, who'd lost his wife the year before. He brought me these, said his garden had too much for one man. I didn't want them, not out of spite, but because I didn't know what to do with them anymore. You watch as she drops the vegetables into the cauldron, the fire licking at the iron with a soft hiss. But Sam kept coming, she says, week after week, with his crooked carrots and his quiet company. I started cooking again, she continues, not for me, but for him. Broth at first, simple, just salt and whatever grew, then stews, thicker with stories stirred in, his, mine, the village's. The cauldron wasn't empty anymore. It held something new. You think of your own moments of starting over, new hobbies after retirement, calls to old friends after years of silence. That's the cauldron's wisdom, Elise says. It's not about what you've lost, but what you can still feed. Yourself, others, the life around you. Hexagram 50 told me, transformation begins when you light the fire again, even if your hands shake. The rain outside seems to nod, a steady rhythm that matches the bubbling in the pot. The cabin fills with a scent of stew, warm, hearty, a comfort that wraps around you like the blanket on your shoulders. Elise ladles the broth into a clay bowl and hands it to you, her smile soft in the firelight. It wasn't just Sam, she says. Word got around. Old widows with their herbs, young families with their scraps. Soon, this hearth was alive again, not just with food, but with voices. You sip the stew, tasting the earthiness of potatoes, the faint bite of rosemary, and imagine the cabin buzzing. Laughter spilling out the windows, chairs scraping the floor, the rain, a backdrop to it all. I'd sit here, she says, watching them eat. Sam with his slow grin, little Clara with broth on her chin, Mira telling tales of her youth by the sea. I didn't plan it, but the cauldron did. It brought us together. You nod, thinking of your own gatherings. Thanksgivings past, coffee with neighbors, moments when a shared table turned strangers into friends. Hexagram 50 isn't just about cooking, Elise says. It's about feeding what's good, community, kindness, the things that grow when you tend them. The rain taps the roof, a gentle echo of her words, and you feel the warmth of the bowl in your hands like a quiet promise. There were nights, she adds, when I doubted it mattered. The village had its struggles. Crops failed, winters bit harder, and some nights all I had was a thin soup to offer. You picture her stirring a nearly empty pot, the fire low, the rain cold against the panes. But they came anyway, she says. Not for the food, but for the fire, for each other. I learned then that the cauldron's strength isn't in what it holds, but in what it starts. You think of your own small efforts, helping a friend move, listening when no one else would, and how they ripple unseen. The I Ching calls it transformation. Elise says, but to me, it's like a recipe. You don't see the meal when you chop the roots, but you trust it'll come together. Duty isn't grand, it's showing up with what you have. The fire glows steady, and you feel a calm settle in, as if the rain and the stew are washing away something heavy you didn't know you carried. The rain beats a little harder now, a soothing song against the cabin as Elise pokes the fire, sending sparks curling upward. One night, she says, I nearly let it die. This fire, this cauldron, all of it. It was after Ella's last letter saying she wouldn't be back for Christmas. I sat here staring at the ashes, thinking maybe it was time to stop. You imagine her alone, the rain relentless, the cabin dim without its heart. I'd spent years feeding others, she said, but that night I couldn't feed myself. Not with food, not with hope. You feel it too, those nights when the phone doesn't ring, when the house feels too big, when you wonder if what you've built still matters. Elise looks at you, her eyes steady. Then I remembered something Tom used to say, she says. He'd sit right where you are, watching me stir, and whisper, keep the fire going, Elise. It's not just for us. She smiles faintly, and you hear the rain soften as if it's listening too. Hexagram 50 came back to me then, she says. The cauldron isn't about you. It's about what flows through it. I lit the fire again that night, not for me, but for the promise it held. The next day, she continues, Sam showed up with a sack of turnips. Ugly, knobby things, but he grinned like they were gold. We cooked them together right here and laughed about the mess we made. You picture it, the cabin warm again, the cauldron simmering, two old souls finding light in a gray winter. That's when I understood, Elise says. Transformation isn't something you force. It's something you tend like a flame. The I Ching taught me to keep going, not for the outcome, but for the act itself. You sip the last of your stew, the warmth spreading through you, and think of your own fires, projects left half done, promises kept through tired days. The cauldron's lesson, Elise says, is that the smallest spark can feed a village or just one soul. It's enough. The rain outside slows, and the cabin feels like a haven, its walls holding years of quiet strength. The rain fades to a drizzle, lulling you deeper into the cabin's embrace as the fire's glow dims to embers. Elise stands, her shadow soft against the wall, and lifts the cauldron's lid one last time. Years later, she says, this pot still sits here, feeding whoever comes, strangers, friends, me. It's dented now, blackened, but it holds. You imagine it through the seasons, spring stews with fresh greens, winter broths thick with roots, each meal a thread in a tapestry of care. The village changed too, she says. We learned from the cauldron, shared more, wasted less, kept the fires lit even when the nights grew long. You think of your own life, pots on your stove, hands you've held, the small ways you've kept going. Hexagram 50 isn't about the pot, Elise says, but what it cooks. Love, trust, the things that simmer when you give them time. The rain outside is a whisper now, and you feel your breath slow, matching its rhythm. She sits again, her hands folded, and looks at you with a quiet knowing. I think of Tom every time I stir, she says. Not with sadness now, but with thanks for the years, the lessons, the cauldron he loved. You feel it too, those people who've shaped you, whose warmth lingers even when they're gone. The I Ching says, transformation is a cycle, she says. You empty the pot, you fill it again. You tend the fire even when it's just coals. That's life. Messy, simple, you. You lean back, the blanket soft against your skin, the rain a lullaby blending with the fire's faint crackle. "What's your cauldron?" she asks, her voice fading into the night. "Maybe it's your family, your work, the dreams you've nurtured through hard years." You don't answer aloud, but the question settles, warm and unhurried. The cabin grows still, the embers glowing faintly, and you let the peace of Elise's story carry you closer to sleep. Elise's cauldron rests now, its warmth lingering as the rain fades into quiet. Thank you for sharing this night with me, Lana. I hope her story kindled a little peace for you. Now, relax, close your eyes, and let the rain guide you into beautiful dreams. This is Lana, signing off. See you in the next philosophical sleep story. Sleep well.